What is up, you guys? Today is Sunday, November 11th, 2018. So as you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about two reasons why Bitcoin will not go under 6,000 US dollars. And in fact, we have reached the bottom. Now that's a pretty bold statement, so it goes without saying that that could very well not be the case. However, I think at least 2 points here are pretty in support of Bitcoin not going under 6,000 US dollars, both from a technical aspect, but as well, I think there are probably a lot of other variables that go into this as well. So yeah, I want to jump into that in this video, but then I also want to, spend some time talking about this. Basically, all I want to cover in regards to this, Coinbase listings don't seem to have the power that they did have back in the bull market of 2017, where Coinbase seemed to have a ton of power. We saw it with Bitcoin Cash when it was listed. Bitcoin Cash absolutely skyrocketed in price. So I just want to talk a little bit about why Basic Attention Token, 0x, as well as Ethereum Classic have all been listed this year on Coinbase, and they have seen small price increases, but then subsequent drops in their price. So I want to spend some time talking about why I think that's the case, why coins don't seem to be pumping right now when being listed on Coinbase. And also talk about if I think that'll change. Do I think in the future, moving forward, coins that are now listed, because there are cheaper coins that are now listed on Coinbase than Litecoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin Cash, do I think they have potential to pump? And as well, other coins that will be listed in the future on Coinbase, do I think they will have a potential to increase in price as well? And when I say pump, I also mean that they would hopefully not dump. If they just pump 20% and then the next, day or two drop 20%, that's not really anything to get, super hyped up about. However, if they can obtain a very big price increase and then maintain that, I think that's a really good scenario, and that's kind of what I want to focus on when I do talk about that later in the video. But yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and let's just start the video. So here on the daily chart for Bitcoin, if we go back a little bit, let's go back to the very beginning of the first time that it touched around 6K. So that was on February 5th. It went all the way down to roughly, right about 6,000 US dollars. Fast forward almost 2 months, the very beginning of April 1st, a little before that and a little after that as well. Bitcoin obviously, seemed to quote unquote bottom here for about 2 weeks. The lowest that it wicked down to was roughly 6,400, so not even quite 6,000. So we see increasing highs back then. And then we saw something similar here about almost 2 months after that. So pretty much every 2 months at the end of May, almost beginning of June, touched on 7,200, so a whole $1,200 more than 6,000. However, you can see when that wasn't found to be support, we did fall pretty drastically, and that's when we hit 6,100 and then went all the way down to roughly almost 5,700, around 5,750 right here. And you can see right here a type of head and shoulders pattern that formed, and then we had a nice little break up at the beginning of July, and we went on a nice little run all the way up to 85 at its peak right here, which coincidentally was the very top of this descending triangle right here that everyone's been focusing on for almost, at this point it's pretty much been a year, right? We have about a month and a half roughly left of 2018, and we're still in this descending triangle here. But from there, we obviously got rejection off there, and the next place we could find support, you can see pretty drastically that we had a very prominent drop in price here. It went very fast. Pretty much every day was a red candle for, from July 29th all the way to, August 8th. So that's pretty significant. Every single day was a red candle, except for this day right here, which, it wasn't a very green candle. But where did we go? We went all the way down to, again, 5,800 as opposed to 5,750. So about $100 higher than that. And that kind of leads us into the pattern we're in now. So the lowest, 5,750. Then we found a little higher low right here at 5,850, about $100 more than that. The next time that we got rejected off of the top of this triangle here, found support right around 6,100, so a whole $300 more than that. Pretty much tested that same spot again right here about 2 weeks later. Then the low we had was right around 6,250. Got another rejection off of the top of this wedge here. Again, still significant that we were up until this point still in the pattern here. Then 6,250, only about $30 to $40 higher than the bottom from October 12th. Now this is all the way at the very beginning of November 1st. And right now we didn't necessarily see rejection off the top of the triangle. However, we broke out of it. And I guess the best way you could classify what we're in right now is potentially testing the top of this triangle to see if we have the potential to move forward after testing the bottom. Maybe something like that, maybe something like this, maybe something, it could break down. But we're kind of just in the scenario now where we have to cement a lower high right here. or at least that would be a really good sign. So basically, if we stay above 62.51, and right now we're roughly about $150 higher than that. And if we would touch the very top of this for support, it would be a little over 6,300. So that would give us at least $50 worth of wiggle room there to not break that pattern. As well, I just want to point out how significant that price increase on October 15th was. 6,300 all the way up to 7,800, so about $1,500 in a day. Again, that only wicked because it did come back down to the top of this triangle within one day. Very indicative of technical analysis, I guess you could say, because it instantly retraced back to that. So yeah, that was the first reason. So the first reason is just that 6,000 has been consistent support, and we've seen increasing lower highs there, which could be a good sign. I know these patterns often break down, however, these can be very bullish as well. So I want to jump over to the weekly then, and you can kind of just see it a little more condensed version. So originally the 6K here, then the 57 is what you saw, the 57, 50, 58, and you can see that ever since then, it has been increasing. Bitcoin's price has been hitting higher lows, which again could be good for the long term as well as the short term possibly. Since we're on the weekly, this would be the best to zoom out on. You can really just get an idea of where we are in the grand scheme of things. And if you look at this, it really does look like you draw a straight line, and the chart really does just abide by that. It looks as though this really is a floor. And again, this could be proven to not be the floor. We could go below this. I think that's possible as well. But I'm trying to make the case for why I believe 6K is the floor. And what we're doing right now in terms of the chart movement, we'll really test that soon, since we are about $150 away from a very key point that we pretty much have to hold resistance for to keep this pattern alive. Because if it would go below these higher lows, who knows if it would break down. We could see a scenario like that where we see very substantial price movement very quickly. However, one thing we do notice on these charts though is that the bears had a ton of power here. The bulls have not really been able to take control at all this year, aside from very small run-ups every once in a while. Again, those are short-lived, so I wouldn't even really say that the bulls really taking control. Maybe the bears just getting exhausted for a little bit, but now for sure, I think you could say that the bears are definitely more exhausted than they were at the beginning of the year. They were able to make huge price movements, and now they can't even break 6K really. They can't get it below 6,000 US dollars. On the 4 hour as well, we're holding fairly well. The thing to keep an eye out on is, on the 4 hour, it's a lot easier to see the smaller price increments. I guess it would be even easier on like a 5-minute chart or something like that, but there's too much data on that for it to be organized enough to really read that. But anyway, here we are. We don't really want to break 6,300 or 6,250 back from October 18th. So almost a month ago now. So basically we don't want to go much lower than we are right now. So Bitcoin is right around 63.95, so around 6,400. I would say 63 would probably be the lowest we could go before we start to maybe consider the price flipping for the short term. But again, we are still, as far as I can tell, it's not the best chart to look at in terms of like looking at your portfolio and being happy. However, we are setting in lower highs, which is good, I think. I think it's really good and indicative of potentially an upward trend in the market. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. And so the title of the video is 2 reasons why Bitcoin's price. So that was the first reason. The second reason is that Bitcoin's market cap has not been able to go under 100 billion US dollar market cap. Currently, it's at 110 billion US dollars. You can see right here. Price is currently 63.75 on CoinMarketCap, pretty much even for the day, less than 1% down. But this chart illustrates it really nicely. So in the last year, really beginning on November 12th, literally exactly a year ago from today, November 12th, 2017, today's November 11th, 364 days ago. And you can see right here how concrete $100 billion is for Bitcoin. Look at this line. This black line right here is 100 billion. And that's even more of a solid floor than 6,000 is for, or at least seems to be. The market cap of 100 billion has been tested really consistently since June 22nd, 2018. And so far, it's been holding up very well. We're, again, $10 billion higher than that. This could be in part due to the ramifications for futures contracts. It could be very substantial for traders in terms of like why it might not get below that. There's also, decreasing selling pressure when we get to that point anyway. So yeah, it's been having incredible difficulty trying to get below 100 billion, and so far it's held up. And I've been saying this for months, probably since June of 2018, that myself as well as many other people have been saying about 100 billion probably not going under. A lot of people agree with that, about Bitcoin not going under 100 billion. And so far, here we are about 5 months later and it's still holding true. So I think that's pretty positive and indicative, again, of very strong support there. The thing is, if we don't have people selling when we get to those points, it won't go below those points. You need to have sell pressure there for it to go underneath it. And if people just simply run out of momentum, if bears run out of momentum there, then it won't go underneath that. So that's the second reason. Basically, that 100 billion for Bitcoin as well has held up incredibly well. And that correlates to the 6,000 price market as well. And that correlates to the entire crypto market. As we know, Bitcoin right now is currently 52.5% of the entire cryptocurrency market. So it's over half of the entire market's market cap. So obviously Bitcoin is a huge leader, considering there's over 2,000 other coins and Bitcoin accounts for over half of them, of the price of half of them. Yeah, definitely Bitcoin's the one to follow along. I get a lot of comments as well. Some people doubt that I care about Litecoin at all anymore, because myself, as well as many other people, I guess, used to make strictly Litecoin content. And I tried to answer it the best that I could. And I've answered this before as well, but I just wanted to say mainly the reason is because the entire market is predicated on Bitcoin. The entire market is dependent on Bitcoin. And I just don't see, especially if we're talking about price movement, if we're trying to, I guess, expect where we could go next, I really don't see a point in covering any other cryptocurrency except for Bitcoin. And that's not to bash any other cryptocurrency at all. Litecoin is still one of my favorite cryptocurrencies, obviously. I still hold my position of it, as well as the cryptocurrencies that I've been holding for, over a year and a half at this point. But I mean, as well, in terms of making a video every single day, or at least a few times a week, it gets redundant repeating the same thing. So I think really focusing on Bitcoin is one of the only viable options. Like, if I had never made a Litecoin video before, it would make sense for me to make some Litecoin videos, but I've already made dozens and dozens of them, and everything that I wanted to say has pretty much been said. And so just for my own sanity, I can't keep repeating the same thing in terms of Litecoin's price or any other coin's price when it all kind of is just, again, predicated on Bitcoin. We have to watch Bitcoin first. And again, if you guys do like Litecoin and you think it will succeed, like I do, I don't think you would have any problem with Bitcoin. As we know, Litecoin is really the best quote-unquote partner that Bitcoin has. Litecoin and Bitcoin are supposed to work together. Litecoin was meant to work with Bitcoin. So if anyone would be angry about people covering Bitcoin, the least of all should be people who support Litecoin, because Litecoin, again, is really the only cryptocurrency that has made it its mission to partner up with Bitcoin. And again, I think that will lead to Litecoin's success. Litecoin partnering up with Bitcoin, I think, is a good thing, that no other coin is really doing that. So then I just wanted to cover this very briefly. I don't really want to read the article too much, but this article just covers very briefly how Basic Attention Token was listed on Coinbase. As we all know or don't know, CoinBase Effect really is the listing that ends up pumping a coin, because Coinbase is a very liquid, very accessible market for a lot of Americans and people around the world. However, one Basic Attention Token was listed. It had a nice price increase, but then it immediately dumped. You can see illustrations here as well from other coins. 0x was listed. You can see the price decrease here. Ethereum Classic was listed. You can see all it was downside from there. And you can see a similar thing might be happening with Basic Attention Token. So why do I think this is happening? I think it's mainly due to a bear market. So bull markets and bear markets have very different rules and definitely effects on news and how news is affected in the market. So for example, I like to think of a bear market lately of at least like really good news can keep coming out for the entire market. But I just think of the bear market as like a black hole where it could have like a nice little increase for a very short amount of time, but immediately everything seems to be sucked back to kind of that event horizon, back to like the black hole really. Unfortunately, that seems to be what a bear market is. So what we see in a bear market is that good news constantly just gets underlooked and undervalued, I guess, in terms of how important it is. However, in a bull market, it's the opposite. Bullish news, good news is greatly exaggerated, and it really pumps the price, and it continues to. It doesn't really pull back very strongly. Bull markets tend to, it's just a snowball effect. Like one piece of good news comes out and the market reacts in a substantially positive way as opposed to a bear market. So I think that really is kind of the underlying reason for everything going on with the quote-unquote CoinBase effect, as well as just everything in the market. I think it's just mainly due because of the phase we're in the market. I think it's just a casualty of the bear market, But the opposite will be in the next bull run as well. Great news will be greatly exaggerated and the price will probably increase exponentially to points we'll probably find it ridiculous, thinking back to now when, backed in ETFs and this and that and everything is talked about and the price does nothing. However, if any of this is added on to, or if any new news regarding this or anything else totally unique of that happens during a bull market, we'll probably see the price react, incredibly positively and be a little surprised that the price is acting so strongly. So yeah, guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in another video.